Hello, welcome back to Finding Your Light Within with me, Andrew Mark. Today, we're going to talk about doing more of what makes you happy and why that's so important to helping you live your true and authentic life. I'm going to share with you a story of what's happened to me recently and why I stopped doing the thing that made me the most happiest. I'm going to talk about how I overcame that, why it was necessary to overcome it, and the effect on me, both physically and psychologically, from doing the thing that makes me the most happiest. I'm going to share how you can go about making a start and doing those things that make you happy, how to find the time, how to find the place, and how to incorporate that into your own life. This one's doing more of what makes you happy. Hello. On the shelf behind me, there's a small plate, and in the coloured letters, it says, "Do more of what makes you happy." It was a gift sent over from England to me by my sister. And it's just so true, isn't it? Do more of what makes you happy. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Why is it that people don't do that? Because I know it's true. It's happened to me. Why don't we do those things that make us feel the happiest? Recently, I went back to, or at least I returned back to, doing something that makes me very happy, and that's surfing. I hadn't surfed, oh gosh, since it may have been January or February of this year was probably the last time I'd attempted to surf. It didn't go very well. And I'd realised that I was spending less and less time going into the ocean. And the ocean is the place that I love the most. Just being beside it is very meaningful for me. But going into the ocean, immersing myself in water, that has always been my thing. I love it. I can't get enough of it. And I was absolutely puzzled why I was stopping. There was something preventing me from doing it. And over the last 2 years, I was entering the water less and less and less. And that was having an adverse effect on me. Psychologically, I felt less happy. Physically, I wasn't exercising in the same way. And I couldn't figure out why until very recently. I discovered the reasons, which I'll explore in a little bit. So what happened last weekend, well, last Friday after work, it was a beautiful day. Summer has arrived here in New Zealand, finally. And after work, I packed up my car, put my surfboard in the back and my tub with my wetsuit in there and my towel, and I drove straight down to the beach. And I was determined to go into the sea. As soon as I got down there and I parked up, I took my board out, I got into my wetsuit, I applied my board wax, my surf wax, and I walked straight across the sand and entered the ocean. And oh my goodness, it felt good. And as I was pushing my surfboard out, I had to take my 8-footer because I'm very rusty, so I needed a big board for the stable base it would give me and the flotation it would give me. As I was pushing that back out through the waves, I was wondering why. Why hadn't I been out into the ocean? And I knew how much I missed it. It dawned on me. It's like a light bulb switching on in my mind. It's like, why? Why have I been missing this? And my entire being was lit up. I was infused with energy and vigour. And I could feel it almost rippling, pulsing through me, if those are the right words, the right expressions. I guess they must be, because those were the feelings that I had. From deep inside all the way out. It was starting in the core of me, and my life force was just emanating outwards. And for the first time in months, I caught some waves. I had to ride. Actually, no, I caught some open faced waves, small ones, and I rode those waves for the first time in months and months and months. In fact, prior to this, the last time I'd actually been in the ocean was in April when I was back in England, when I needed to return for family reasons. It'd been, so April, and now it was the beginning of December, or the end of November. So what is that? Is that 7 months? Yeah, 7 months, 7.5 months since I've been in the ocean. And suddenly I was back in it again. And when I came out, after I caught, I'm not sure how many, 6 or 7 waves, not that many, but enough. Came out of the ocean, and as I was showering off at the shower down at the beach, they've just installed a new shower for us down there, which is lovely. Cold water, but still lovely in the summer. As I was showering, I just felt alive, invigorated. And my connection to the ocean and the beach, I was just living it. I was in that moment. I was doing more of what makes me happy. And I just thought about the little plate behind me and the words, and why I just knew that I had to make this video to talk about it. Why don't we do it? So let me get into the reason why I have not been going into the ocean. And it actually goes back about 2.5 years, at which time I had a bout of COVID-19, my first one and only one actually. And afterwards, it wasn't very severe. It was like a minor sniffle and a bit of a cold. But afterwards, I was left with a blocked, in my left ear, a blocked inner ear. In fact, I still have it to a degree. And my hearing was affected. My balance was always okay. There's never been an issue from it. But my hearing was affected. And this feeling of my ear being blocked is I had it continuously. And I figured, it's just, that's what happens when you've got a cold. You've got to build up a fluid, and eventually, your throat and nose and ears are all linked together, your sinuses. And I thought, it's just going to clear. But as the weeks went by and it hadn't, I became a little bit more concerned. So I went back to the doctor. They gave me some antibiotics, and they said, it's just residue left from your illness, your COVID-19. Sounded plausible and fair enough to me. So I took my antibiotics and I waited, but nothing happened. I went back to the doctor. They said, something that can help. They said time will help. Sometimes it takes months to go away, but it will go, they said. They reassured me. But they said, take some nasal spray, that can help. So I bought myself some nasal spray from the pharmacy, and every night, although my nose wasn't blocked, I applied some nasal spray. My ear stayed the same. I'm a school teacher, and in the classroom, I found that the noise level of all the different people talking, students just discussing or talking, the sound was like a wave that kept flooding over me, and I found it quite unbearable actually at times. And I couldn't hear students when they were trying to address me over that background noise. It became quite an issue. But I sort of got used to it. And I guess, that's one thing that we're good at, us humans, is that we adapt. Our brains and our bodies adapt very easily to different situations. So I overcame it in other ways. And then at the start of this year, I took a plane flight for the first time since the COVID-19 lockdowns back in 2020, 2021. And I was concerned about my ear. I know from my scuba diving about inner ear pressure and the need to equalize, pressure. But on the flights, my ear my left ear completely blocked up, and I went completely deaf in the left ear, and it was quite painful during the initial ascent. And on the descent too, it cleared. I was flying over to the United States via, I went via Hawaii. So on the flight from New Zealand to Hawaii, it blocked up, and then it cleared before we landed in Oahu. And then on the descent to Oahu, it blocked again. About half an hour later, it cleared itself, and then it blocked again when we took off to go over to fly to Dallas. And then on the descent, it blocked again. So I had several issues with it, and I was very concerned. And I realised that I'd never be able to scuba dive again with this blocked ear problem. I'd never be able to equalise the pressure on my descent under the ocean. So on my return to New Zealand, I went back to the doctor. And at the start of the year, I had a test at the audiologist, or audiology. Yeah, hearing test. Anyway, she informed me, the audiologist informed me that I was deaf to certain tones. And she said, yeah, you got this inner ear blockage, but there's nothing we can do. There's nothing, because it's on the inside, we can really do about it. She said, I can refer you to the hospital, but you'll be waiting for months. And because it's not urgent, you're not likely to ever get any remedy from it. After I'd been to the UK in April and returned, I noticed, well, before then, in fact, my circulation in my hand, particularly in my hands, but in my feet as well, I kept waking up with numb hands. My phone alarm would go off in the morning, and I literally would wake up and my hand was numb. It was like it's made of marshmallow or something. I'd try and reach my phone and to pick it up to turn off my alarm, and I literally couldn't pick it up. I had to try and shake it out and move my arm and just try and do this to try and get some blood flow back. And I could eventually pick it up and turn the alarm off. I started to grow quite concerned that I had some kind of circulation issue. But I kept myself fit and ate healthily, and I couldn't work out why I would have that issue. It didn't make any sense. But it kept, well, at least it continued. So I went back to the doctor, and they checked my blood pressure and my heart rate, and they said, oh, your blood pressure's a bit low and your heart rate's a bit low. But they said, oh, you exercise, you're very, you keep yourself fit. That could be why. And I said, oh yeah, my father's got a low heart rate as well. And they said, well, that could be hereditary. And so I left it again. And then a couple of months later, I started to experience this heavy bloating in my stomach. And I thought, oh, I can't be right. Now I've got this bad circulation, I've got this bloating, I've got a blocked up ear. Winter was coming on in New Zealand, and I started to feel very, very cold. I thought, this is all very strange. Anyway, I went back to the doctor to see the nurse practitioner at our local surgery for a circulation checkup, just to be sure there was no issues. And the day before, I was having to look down at my leg, at my shin, and I've always been kind of, as you can see from my arms, I've got a very good covering of hair on my limbs. And so I looked down at my leg, down my shin, and on one side, on the left side of my shin, it was completely bald. It was as if somebody had literally shaved all the hair away. And on the right side of the bone, it was still covered in hair. And it was just bizarre. I just looked down at my leg and thought, that's really odd. So I quickly went on ChatGPT and I AI searched it. I put in all my symptoms, and it said that the connecting factor is low thyroid, potentially Hashimoto's autoimmune condition. So when I went in to have my circulation checked, I said, I've just AI'd this yesterday, and it seems to indicate I may have a low thyroid. And the nurse said, yeah, I think you're probably right about that. We'll do a blood test for it. When the blood test came back a couple of days later, It was off the charts. My, is it TSH level? T4, TSH, one of those two, which is connected to the thyroid, was really out of the bounds that it should be. It was just like right out there. And so it's pretty obvious that I had this problem, this low thyroid issue. And all of a sudden, instead of becoming depressed that I've picked up an autoimmune disease, I don't know how, but yeah, rather than feeling depressed that I had an autoimmune condition, I actually felt relieved because suddenly I understood why I wasn't going into the ocean. It was this feeling of always being cold, and this blocked ear kept me away. I didn't want to immerse myself into the water, to the coldness of the water, the coolness of the water, because I felt cold all the time. During the winter, after I picked up my medication and waited for it to get started and kick in, during the winter, I mean, it was so bad. I was wearing 9 layers of clothes in bed, so yeah, like 9 or 7 t-shirts, 2 long sleeve tops. I had 2 duvets over me and 2 blankets, and I would still be shivering.
Hey, listen, is it obvious I'm wearing 6 sweaters?
The cold, the feeling of being cold was absolutely bonkers crazy. So that's the reason why I stopped doing what made me happy. I actually had a medical condition that was pulling me away from it, psychologically affecting me. And what I needed to do was to overcome not just the physicality of the illness, when the medication started to kick in and work, but the psychology of it too. Overcoming that feeling of I don't want to go in the water and get cold. And when I went into the ocean last Friday, it was a sunny day, it was warm because it's summertime now in New Zealand. And I just knew it was the right time, the right conditions. And so that's why as soon as I got down the beach, I went straight into the water. And boy, did that make a difference to me. So when I wasn't surfing for these, it's almost been 2 years, I've been surfing less and less and less and less. And particularly this year, having not been in the ocean for 7, 8 months, I was away from the place I loved. I was disconnected from the surf community. I felt almost as though I couldn't go to the beach because I wasn't doing the thing that people associated me with. Again, that's psychological, and it was in my own mind, of course. Nobody really cares. But I felt it. I felt this weight on me around it. So I felt less like the true me. I wasn't living my authentic life. So what did that mean? That meant less social contact with those people that I usually would see down at the beach surfing, the friends that I've made through that lifestyle choice. Because I wasn't going out into the ocean, I was spending less time outdoors. I was spending less time in the sunshine. I was getting less vitamin D, less energy from the sunlight. Physically, I wasn't surfing, so I wasn't as active as I'd usually be. And I just became disengaged. Mentally, I didn't feel as fulfilled as I usually would. So the act of not doing the thing that I most enjoyed was having a detrimental effect on me, physically and emotionally and psychologically. So when I did return to surfing, as I've already explained, I felt my spirits lifted, I came alive, I felt connected to myself, I felt authentic, I felt the joy of life flood through me, just felt alive. I felt authentic, genuine. That's amazing, isn't it, if you think about it? You do the thing that you love and you feel your true authentic self. It's in those times, it's in those places. You have to do more of what makes you happy. It's fundamental, isn't it? It's absolutely key. And by doing the thing that I loved, by going in the ocean, and the thing that you love might, of course, can be completely different to mine. It's just the thing that you love. But when you do that thing, you have an endorphin release. The joy chemical, it's released. It floods through your system. That's why you feel so alive at that time. Endorphins, they're a group of hormones released by the brain, by the hypothalamus in response to pain and stress. But they're also released during pleasurable activities. And they act as natural mood elevators and improve your well-being. Isn't that amazing? You get that as a bonus from doing the thing that you love, which is pretty cool anyway. So why wouldn't you do the thing that you love? Well, it might be because you don't have the time. Your life is busy. Of course it can be busy. You may have a job. Hopefully you have a job that you enjoy. You got a family, you got other commitments, you got friendships, you got social life to maintain. You may have relatives to look after, parents to look after, your own children to look after. You have all these other commitments that can get in the way. Psychologically, you may feel that you don't deserve to do the things that make you happy. I know that's plagued me in my own life. I struggle a lot with that, and that may be a topic of another video. But it's easy to think I don't deserve to be happy, and that's a lie. That's so not true. Of course you deserve to be happy. Why wouldn't you deserve to be happy? Everybody does. That's what living's about. The happiness is the pursuit of being your true self. I spoke about my video about nature and my view about life force. You're alive, you're this living being, and you have to be your authentic self, right? So you have to do the things that make you feel that authentic self. If you deny yourself those things, then you can't grow in the way that your life force wishes you to. Show me a plant that doesn't put its head to the sunlight, a flower that doesn't put its face to the sunlight. There's never a plant that turns away from the sunlight. It wouldn't make any sense, would it? It would grow less. It would diminish itself. It would wither, and eventually it would die. Why would you do that? You shouldn't. And that's a topic for another time and place, to delve into that. But absolutely, I know that's a thing for people, because I recognise it in myself. You may have financial reasons. You think, I can't afford to do the things that make me happy. It may be time commitments, as I've already talked about. It could be your location. If I didn't live near the ocean, then how could I do the thing that makes me happy? I couldn't surf, or I couldn't, be by the ocean, walk by the ocean, run along the sand and do those other things. So those could be your reasons for not doing the thing you enjoy. And they're all very genuine and they're all very valid. So how do we overcome those? How do we find our way to doing the things that make us happy? So the first step, decide what it is that you want to do. Figure out what makes you happy. Most people know that. You may hide it, you may deny it, but deep down you'll know it. Journaling is a great way of figuring it out. Sitting quietly, just on your own, just yourself, in your own space and time for a few minutes. That may help you find it. Most people know what it is. It could be going for a walk, could be riding your bicycle, could be jumping around to music in your living room. doing a jigsaw puzzle, playing a computer game, anything, cooking, reading, writing, whatever it is, you have to figure out what that thing is first. That's your starting point. Work that out, write it down. This is the thing I want to do more of. Play a musical instrument, perhaps. Skateboard. Well, there's a whole endless list of things, right? Once you've figured it out, you've got to make a habit. You've got to find a time in which to do it. Now, you need a small amount of time, I'd suggest. Start small. Don't go gung-ho, all guns blazing into it. You start small, but do it often. So, do less, do it more. That's the key. Build the habit. Build it into your routine. 5 minutes. If you can do 5 minutes a day to begin with, perfect. Something like surfing, hard to do for 5 minutes. You got to pack up your car, you got to drive to your surf location, get your board out, get into your wetsuits, walk or across to where you're going to the water, and then you can begin, and you have to reverse that process to come back out again. It's not a 5-minute deal, but it can be done. Small chunks. You don't have to go surfing for 3 hours. You can go for 20 minutes. Find a time to do it. If you're biking, you haven't got to go off to some magical bike park. Just go around the block. It doesn't matter. If you're doing something, the thing you enjoy, it won't matter to you. The thing that will matter is doing it, living it, having that experience. Start small. That's step number 2. Make it sustainable. So what I mean by that is you have a small amount of time and you say, that's in this day or in this particular days, this 5 minutes of time I'll lock away. That's for me to do the thing that makes me more happy or most happy. And you do that every time. You set that time and you stick to it. Make a commitment to it. That will create your habit. That will build the neural pathway inside of your brain. And once the habit is established, you're on your way. Then you can grow the habit. Create the habit first, though. I hope you've enjoyed this talk on doing more of what makes you happy. If you have, leave me a comment and let me know. Let me know what it is that makes you feel happy. Let me know what it is you're going to do in the future. In fact, no, not the future, right now. In the future, never happens. This is the moment, isn't it? This, right now, is the moment. Write it down. This is the thing I'm going to do. Leave that comment and then go and do it. And then come back to this video and leave me a comment to let me know that you did it. And I'll respond to you and I'll give you all the support and encouragement that I can, because I'm on your side. I want you to succeed. That's absolutely what I want. That's why I'm sitting here doing this. I want you to live your best life. That's all I'm about. Transform yourself. Be the best you can. So thank you so much for listening. Please do subscribe if you haven't done already. And if you have subscribed, thank you so much. It's amazing. It's just amazing to see my numbers slowly going up. That makes me very happy because I like doing these. So leave that comment, subscribe, hit the like button, do all the usual things. But most of all, go and do more of what makes you happy right now. Thank you for watching. Until the next time, it's Andrew Mark for Finding a Light Within. Goodbye.